The version of Bad Habits that Ed Sheeran did with Bring Me the Horizon was cool, but it wasn't quite what I was hoping for. As someone who absolutely loves and is very influenced by Posthuman, I was hoping for the heavier side of Bring Me. And if they're not going to make it, somebody should. So let's find out what that sounds like. To start this off, the first thing I have to do is figure out what direction I want to take it. I'm mainly going to pull inspiration from Posthuman. I really like that record, and it really showcases their heavier elements with their more refined songwriting and production methods. So the first thing I did is pull in the original, the Ed Sheeran and Bring Me the Horizon track, and map it out just with a MIDI piano to really dive into the structure of the song and the way that they've arranged it. Along with that, I tried to get some kind of an a cappella so I could really mess with the music of it while still hearing a bit of what they're doing vocally. One of the first things I did once I had it mapped was bump the tempo up from the original 131 beats per minute to 180 beats per minute. Yeah, a lot of things aren't working anymore because it's so fast. So we're gonna figure that out. I've also been on a bit of a falling in reverse kick recently, so I wanted to take their breakdown formula and add that into the songs. What I did is extend verse 2 and added this whole other bridge part in it because it just, to me, called for something like that and was more interesting than the more traditional pop song structure that they had. The whole point is I just want to hear this song heavier and faster with more breakdowns, as though Bring Me the Horizon was set loose from Ed Sheeran's pop sensibility. And based on the arrangement that I have right now, that has been accomplished. So I've got the arrangement, I've got the structure, I'm sending the drums to Malcolm, and I just told him, channel your inner Luke Holland, because I want these drums to just go hard. While I was working on the arrangement, I did program quite a bit of synths because that's what's going to make this song work. Obviously, it's still me, so there's still lots of guitars, but I really need to lean into the synths in the writing of it as well and the arrangement of it because that's a huge part of Bring Me the Horizon's sound. Some of the main synths or ideas for synths were down before I even picked up a guitar. Now, that is very different for somebody like me who writes with the guitar, but it was a great exercise of stepping out of my comfort zone and getting a whole different perspective on the production by starting in a different way. One of the ways that I really tried to learn from Bring Me's production is actually having a couple of their songs up and in my session that I could toggle back and forth between and really look at the different synth layers and listen to them in different sections and then try and mimic that. Stuff like what's happening in the bass synths, what's happening in the lead synths, what's happening in the more pad, airy synths behind everything else. When you really try and pick it apart and then put it into place and then go back and listen some more, you notice different things that you might not notice otherwise. Basically, it's like you don't really notice the layers that are in the stack until you start peeling them back and trying to recreate them. I could definitely add synths to this for days. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to move on to sound effects. Boom, bam, boom, woo. That's what we're doing now. Now, the way that I approach sound effects is I have a whole bunch of sound effects libraries and packs. You can frankly never seem to have enough of those. I go through them with an idea in mind of what I want them to accomplish in the track. I pull all the ones that I find relevant into the session, and then I start stacking them together, mixing them, adding effects, and creating kind of the ultimate stack, and then also the other ones that just go in different places. And then I put it in every place I can think of that might need that kind of thing. So it's in way too many places, but then as I go through it, I mute pieces of that depending on the transition. To me, it's just easier to throw everything at the wall and then bring it down or mute after the fact than have to search and plan it out as we go. When they're all stacked together, so far this is kind of what they all sound like. So I can take pieces of that and put it into different spots where I want just the riser or just the impact. Sometimes other instruments are doing stuff as well, so I don't need the sound effects to kind of carry the weight. So that'll just get mixed differently, but at least they're in place, ready for mixing. So vocals, I think, are going to be a bit of a multi-day process here because there's just a lot that I want to try and I cannot sing these notes perfectly all the time. Now, for this song, the lyrics are obviously pre-written and most of the vocal melodies. However, I did take some liberties here and there. One of the interesting things I had to overcome, I guess you could say, is that I sped the tempo up so dramatically that the words and the cadence of the words didn't fit the same way. The vocals, the lyrics, and melodies are what really tie it to the original, original and thus what I want to keep the most of as much as possible. But obviously I have to take some liberties here and there because I did speed up the tempo so dramatically. Now with this project, vocals are actually coming very early in the process. Normally vocals are something I do right at the end, kind of the last thing before mixing. In this project, I had rough demo vocals right from the beginning because I needed to see how they would fit and what I'd have to alter vocally to make it fit with the new tempo and the new style of music. And at this point in the process, vocals are the first final recorded thing that I'm recording because I'm waiting to do final guitars, which are normally first, until I have drums back. Guitar rhythms will change a lot more and be more affected by the drums than the vocals. The vocals are basically pre-written by the demo that I already created. One of the things that I really wanted to do is try one of those glitchy vocal effects. I love them in other songs, but I've never really dived into doing it. Now, I own Stutter Edit, which is what I wanted to try using first for this glitchy vocal, as I've had it forever and never really used it and always wanted to figure out how. It was a little bit less clear and less intuitive than I thought. We're getting somewhere, but not there yet. How do I make a new bank, man? Save as. Where do I do that? How do I do that? Oh, yeah. The heck? That doesn't look like the friggin' version I'm on. The vocal glitch that I'm trying to mimic starts out very natural and then slowly gets more pitched and comb filtery and crunchy and stuttered. So that's what I wanted to do, have it slowly progress. So after quite a while, I finally found something that I think I like. I ended up using some Stutter Edit for the stuttery effect and then a bunch of other stuff for the other parts of the effect that I wanted. So this is what it sounds like. So as it goes, the stutters get quicker and quicker. And then on top of that, I have GRM comb filters kind of slowly mixing itself into the mix, and then it kind of comes off a little bit at the end. And then that's followed up by a little altar boy doing a pitch change. So it changes from no pitching it to a whole octave up by the end. It gives it this weird pitched subtle ramp into the next section. Then following that, I have tremolator just to give it some trem and some movement. Following that, I have a reverb. That's kind of what ties it all together a little bit, especially at the end. That's what makes it bleed into the next section a little bit nicer. That was the easiest and fastest way to accomplish the sound that I had in my head. So recording guitars was pretty standard. I just kind of redid my demo. The interesting thing with the guitars on this one is they're very meticulous and they're very well crafted, but there's not a lot of complicated stuff. Again, channeling that Bring Me the Horizon energy, their guitars from the outside don't sound that complicated. They're solid. Most of the lead or sound effect guitar parts that I would normally do were all covered by synths this time, which trying to make happen and hold myself back was a real fun experiment for me. So I loved that. When it came to mixing this track, I really wanted to take my time with it and experiment differently with the mixing of the synths and the guitars and their relationship. Normally I don't mix synths quite so loud and prominent, but for this one, the whole point was to have synths on top and be a much bigger piece of the overall sonic picture. The other thing I was battling through most of this mix was the fact that my computer just couldn't keep up. This is what I'm dealing with. Yep, can't even play it. Put it this way, I cannot wait for a M2 MacBook Pro. Link below if you want to help that happen faster. In the end, it was worth it because it was a very creatively fulfilling mix for me. And finally, we have a heavier version of Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran featuring a let loose Bring Me the Horizon. This is the collab that I wish they did.
Say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise before my world implodes.
Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed my take on mixing Ed Sheeran with heavier Bring Me the Horizon with a little sprinkle of Falling in Reverse. Now, if you're a producer or make music yourself, I highly recommend trying this challenge where you take a song that's not really in your genre and trying to apply production techniques that you are unfamiliar with or want to learn more about. It's a really great way to learn because you don't have to worry about the song so much as the production techniques. It was definitely a fun creative challenge to take a already kind of rockified pop song with pop sensibility and pop structure and apply it to a more heavy sound. Having a really specific sound in mind that I wanted and a few key songs that I was really pulling elements from really helped me dive into those songs even deeper and understand their production that much more. I also feel like I understand and appreciate Ed Sheeran's writing all that much more as well. If you have any more technical questions about the production or the mix, leave those in the comments below as I will be making a mix breakdown as well. And of course, if you want to download the raw session for this song, the link is down below. All right, with that, I will catch you in the next one. Until then, always be creating.